Let's get started by having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
So my name is Dave Buckwalter. I typically go by Buck. It's a nickname I picked up in high school that followed me through 10 years in the military, and it's pretty much what I know and love at this point. I'm a photographer. I was first introduced to photography when I was about 3 years old. My dad took me to see a space shuttle launch, and the viewing area was far enough away you couldn't really see anything before the launch. And so he was letting me look through the telephoto lens on his camera, and I just found the concept fascinating. So couple of months later, we were at a wedding, and I thought I knew what I was doing, so I grabbed his camera and ran around with it and burned up all of his film. So I saw the writing on the wall and bought me my first camera for Christmas that year, and I've never really looked back. I didn't really get serious about it, though, until I was 20 years old. Just packed up, left for the Navy, and decided that if I was going to go out and see the world as part of the Navy, I wanted to bring back some decent pictures, so I went out and I bought my first decent camera, and I've never looked back. Self-taught, explored a lot of different genres. I particularly like a lot of landscapes and wildlife. Within that, I've come to find that large metal prints is the display format that I appreciate the best. It feels like you're just watching an HD movie just right there hanging on your wall.
So you've really been doing this your whole life.
That's correct.
What inspires you?
A lot of things. Nature, geometry, some of the interplays between humanity and nature, whether that's architectural or just even the shape of the human form.
Is there something you're working on now that you could share with us?
Right now, actually, um, I'm taking advantage of the situation right now, just with the isolation and not being able to go out or do anything. I'm catching up on a lot of my back projects. A lot of times you'll take a picture and just the complexity of the scene, what you're looking at on the camera or the computer screen, or even by the time you go to print, it just doesn't convey the same impact as what it did in person. And as an artist, I try to convey that same impact without making it look like it's overdone. So to balance that line, through Photoshop and Lightroom and some of the other software processes, it takes, anywhere from 2 to 25 hours per picture to be able to massage out that detail and get that impact without making it look like it's fake, so that when somebody looks at it, they don't just go, oh, well, that's just over processed. So that's what I've been focusing on. Otherwise, my current growth right now is I'm pushing more and more into night sky photography, driving out into the mountains, out in the Shenandoah National Park and a few other areas during the summertime when the Milky Way is visible, and shooting that.
Will we be able to see some of those pictures at the virtual festival?
I believe so. I know I've got a couple on my website, so depending how the virtual festival works out, I will be making sure that a few of those are available,
Could
yes.
you walk me through the process of making one of your big prints?
Sure. So I start out typically digital. I do shoot a little bit of film depending on what I'm doing. There are some things that I still feel like film is the better way to go, but probably about 90% of what I shoot is digital. Use a Nikon D850, so that starts at about 45 megapixel. So I'll get the image in the camera, doing everything I can to get the image as close to what I want in the camera as possible. Then I'll go through with Photoshop and do any kind of touch up or highlights. And try to keep it to small things, like I was saying, keeping the realism of the scene. But sometimes, if you're a crowded national park, there might be somebody standing out in the middle of your shot, and it's the most glorious sunset you've ever seen. So you still want to capture that. So doing things to maybe, replace that person with a little bit of landscape, a little bit of touching and cloning, things like that. Sometimes, a nice shot of sand dunes in Death Valley, and there's a trail of footprints going through at a weird angle that you don't like, so maybe cover those up, things like that, where you're still staying true to the original scene, but you're still making it more aesthetically pleasing. And then from there, I'll go in and I'll adjust the tonality and the curves, just to bring out the contrast to whether if I want it to be subtle and soft and smooth feeling and tranquil, or if I want it to be just raw and in your face and just make you feel the power of the scene. So I'll massage the image a little bit to do that. Once all of that's done, then I'll use a different software called Photo One, which upsizes it, and I'll raise it up to about 300 megapixel. And when I was talking about film, this is where the film comes in, because when I shoot film, I shoot large format at 4 inches by 5 inches. So that size of a negative, when you scan that in, you're already at 300 or 400 megapixel.
Mm-hmm.
And getting up to those larger sizes is what allows you to print so big, still keep all of that detail. But that software that does that makes it bigger, isn't without its faults. So once I do expand it, I'm going through and I'm looking at it 100% on my computer screen, and I'm literally going through pixel by pixel. I'm spending about an hour per photo just going through to make sure that that software worked right, that there's no glitches, there's no digital artifacts, nothing like that that's going to be ugly and detract from that overall image. Once I've got the image final, the one thing that I do outsource is the actual printing itself. I use a company out of San Francisco, California called Bay Photo. I've worked with them for about 8 or 9 years now, and I trust them inherently. I love the quality of their work. There's one time where I accidentally uploaded the wrong image to them, and they called me. I uploaded the low resolution image, and they called me and they said, "Hey, this is going to look like garbage. You know, are you sure this is what you want to print?" And I'm like, "Well, hold on a minute." so, so I mean, they've always had my back, and it's something that I know at the end of the day, I'm going to get a quality product from them. And then the double edge on that is when I get into the bigger stuff, when I get to where, you know, one side of the print is over 40 inches, it comes in a wooden shipping crate. And that allows me then to turn around and give that wooden shipping crate to the customer if I'm at a show or something like that, so that they know they're able to get that image home safely. Because if they're spending, you know, over $1,500 or $2,000 on, you know, 2 foot by 4 foot panoramic, that they want to make sure they can get that home into their wall in the same condition that it was in when they saw it.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't asked about?
One of the areas that I found difficult as an artist is just current situation, socially. And I'm not talking about politics, anything else like that. Just more of what people consider to be acceptable. And a lot of times with the internet, because of the internet and public events, because of the nature of family events, people tend to fail safe. So not a large majority of what I do, but some of what I do involves human body and the human form in a natural landscape. And I try to present that in an artistic manner. But a lot of people are like, "Oh no, there's a nipple visible. That's pornography." And you know, nobody, whether it's an in-person show or an online gallery. So most of that, even though it's things that I would love to be able to present and sell, just end up collecting dust on a hard drive. And so I'm always keeping my eyes open for whether it's events or galleries or online, those photos as well.
If somebody wants to see more of your work or purchase any of your work, where is the best place for them to go?
The vast majority of my work is online on my website, that I do for the fine art aspect of things. That's buckwalter.com. Otherwise, I do have an Instagram. That's more for fun. It's got a little bit of everything. I shoot a lot of that is not destined for the wall. And it's just been a hobby and passion. So for that lets people maybe see more of the behind the scenes, some of the other stuff I'm working on, side projects, things I've been catching up on, places I've been. And if anybody's interested in that on the Instagram, it's photography_by_Buck. And like I said, that's more for fun. A lot of times where, you know, when I'm meant to open up a picture, I'm going through and I'm looking at it and I'll make the decision, hey, this is great for Facebook, great for Instagram, but it's never going to hang on the wall. So Instagram is where it ends up.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing more of your work.
Thank you very much.